Hello guys and welcome back to the best Build-A-Bear channel ever, Randy and the Bears. And as you can see, we have all of our little Avengers set up right here. You kind of idea where we're going with this video, right? In fact, you're probably thinking, isn't that a little short? Yes, this is only maybe half the collection. There's like 30 of these guys. Actually, there's a lot more. I didn't collect every genre of every kind of bear they have, but there are about 30 bears in my collection. And today, I decided to bring the ones that I have on me right now because the rest are off fighting evil at the Wickham house. Yes, my nieces came with me to the second time I went to the movie, and we took all the bears and costumes in since I'm that uncle, right? So I got to dress up in my beanies and my hats and my hoodies like this one, Iron Patriot, which I love. I have almost every Hot Topic hoodie. I'm just missing Iron Man. I should have got it. I'm so sad because I have like all of them. Love all the hoodies. I even got the new Captain Marvel coat, which you saw in my videos, which is awesome. At any rate, so they're off with the nieces fighting war or something, doing some sort of battle. Hopefully they all come back in one piece. But these are the ones I had on me, so we decided to put as many as we could in the video, so kind of make it a little special, right? And as I said, the minis, most of them you're going to get online. If you can find them for a good price, you should, because they're freaking awesome. Look so cool like that. And then there's a couple duplicates. If you see them, yes, I got a couple duplicates from some sellers because, you know, it just happens when you go and try to buy full sets and then they send you extras. So it all works out. Just want to let you know also, if you should also go down below and like, subscribe, share this with people. Let's pass this around because this is awesome. It's fun to do. And link down there below is like to build a bear. So because we want you to buy all your Avenger bears through us because they're awesome. And there's new ones in store right now for the Endgame. Captain America bear and Iron Man bear have brand new bears with a big A on them. They're a little bit darker in color. They don't have the emblems all over them. I still debate whether I want to get them because, like I said, I have so many. It's like, do I need more Avengers? But they have new costumes, and of course they have the Endgame costume, which you will see on this guy right here. It is the quantum realm um, travel through time suit that Ant-Man helps create. So that's awesome. And so he got to be part of an honorary Avenger. I haven't decided which Avenger he is yet because, let's be honest, there's so many. They're all pretty much represented here with my bears. They didn't do an Ant-Man yet, but I wish they would do an Ant-Man for like the next movie. That'd be awesome. But we got a couple movies coming up. Sure. In post, this did. I mean, on our startup video or practice video, this didn't happen. They all stood up really well. I don't know why they're falling apart. Anyway, they're good for now. So, obviously, this was all about Thanos. And so, as far as the movie goes, we're going to give you an idea of what to expect and whether or not this is a worthwhile movie to go see. Beyond that, we're also going to give you a whole rundown about the storyline of the movies, which we'll do in about 5 minutes. We'll give people who haven't seen it just time to get interested, get their taste buds wet for the movie because it's really awesome. So, if the basics of the movie is that Thanos, as we know in the last movie, he won by snapping his fingers, using all the stones in the Infinity Gauntlet, and erasing half the people. I love how they bring in some older characters that haven't been in the comic books for a long time, like Captain Marvel, because obviously she was part of this series 30 years ago, but she's been missing because of her encounter with Rogue. So if you guys know that storyline behind Captain Marvel, the reason Rogue can fly and do all the things she can do is because she took all of Captain Marvel's powers and now she's currently resting in a coma. Something that's really weird for those of us who have collected comics to see her in this visage. But because of this day and age, we brought her back because she's very inspiring. So, and she was a very intricate part of this. Now, of course, in the original storyline, there's a lot more characters involved. It spanned a long period of time to do all the comic books that are involved in this. But the movie world, we're limited by production and the amount of money it takes to produce something this grand. And we've been 11 years in the mix to do this, which has been awesome. So we have to compare it to only the cinematic universe and not the comic book. But beyond that, it was really good. As far as the movie goes, storyline was amazing. I love the way they wrote it. Every scene in it is critical. Every scene is important. It kind of moves really well for a 3-hour movie. It moves so smoothly from transition to transition, and everything in it is valid and important to the storyline. There's no fluff in this movie. The writing of it is really great. I love the way they interact with the characters that they come across in the movie from different timelines. As you know, it's probably going to play up timelines. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, sorry, but that's pretty much all over the internet before the movie. And also when they reunite, as we all know they're going to do, there's a lot of great interactions there. As far as technology, it was amazing. I love the bantering between the characters. Of course, the battle scenes were epic. Everything about this movie was just amazing. It is a PG-13 movie, so again, we're looking at like teenagers or higher. But it also depends on your discretion as parents because we've been seeing these movies for how many years now? We know what to expect. So definitely a good family-friendly movie for the most part. Definitely a 5 stars out of 5. It is amazing. Definitely worth seeing. It has broken over 144 records nationally and internationally. And it's right now looking at almost being ranked #2 movie of all time. It's still eyeing that Avatar spot. But currently today, after about 8 days, it is now sixth place. Yesterday it was 8th. 2 days ago it was 10th. It's like literally jumping 2 spots every day. And like it's broken every record internationally from China's records to overall in records, and it's also broken records for like IMAX and for 3D movies and for luxury movies. Tuesdays, $5 Tuesdays for across the board for most of these movie companies. And it's smashed Tuesday. I think from Thursday through Tuesday so far, it's smashed every day. I didn't look for yesterday's to see if they smashed the total for Wednesday's first, day totals. But at any rate, to get into the movie more, for those of you who have seen it, because I like to banter about this stuff. I want to do more of this stuff, talk about our comic books and things that we enjoy on here, talk about our little bears that kind of go with it. Um, I'm giving everyone who hasn't seen the movie a little bit of a break here. If you want to turn it off and come back, please do come back, like this video, share it, but go see the movie and let us know what you think about it. Leave it in the comments because we want to know what you guys think and have a banter back and forth about our favorite heroes. So that being said, okay, so hopefully everyone here wants to actually talk about the movie. Not to mention, here are the spoilers. So if you're here beyond this pause, just let you know that we're going to be talking Jeff about this movie and all the spoilers. This movie is so amazing, and I love all the intricacies with how the storyline completes the third wave of Marvel movies. I mean, this was really well written. Kudos to Disney for buying our Fox and buying our Marvel, bring them all back together, one cinematic universe, and to be able to put something this grand together. And if we were to go from the very beginning of the movie, because it literally goes from clip to clip, everything's essential. We start out with what would have been the end of the Infinity War, the end of the first half of the Infinity War, when they actually fought Thanos. And we had several characters that were missing, like Ant-Man would have been like an intricate part to help them defeat Thanos. Or even if the team had actually been together and not been on 2 different planets, right? Which is something that's always been an eyesore for me. But it makes for a really good battle to come back from, and like turmoil we put in all our movies. Like even in like a full-length movie, you get that halfway point where the hero does something really stupid, or they have to regain trust, or they have to fix something they done and like lose their badge and gun just so before they can actually become the heroes they always wanted to be, which we see in this movie, but it's just a 2-part series, so it's kind of cool. So that being said, we get to a character that we didn't even see at all in the last movie, not even clips of. People were like, why wasn't he in the movie? Well, he was on house arrest. We start with Hawkeye, which is a really cool dynamic character who later becomes a different character, right? Simply because his family, in the end of the Infinity Gauntlet first movie series, part of the series, they all disappear at a picnic that he's having with his family, which kind of brings us forward to where we're at now. So the first scene, you get to see his family die. And from the audiences I've been in, people already get emotional because that's like really touching scene where Hawkeye realizes something bad has seriously happened. I imagine he probably found a way to break his bracelet because he had, if you notice in the beginning, he had an ankle monitor on it. He was like, I'm not sticking around anymore. Took that ankle monitor off, and for the next 5 years, he goes around hunting down every bad guy who somehow escaped the snap. And then we come to another segment where we're dealing with would have been Stark, yes. So we're back to where we were at the end of the last movie. So they get us back to the end of the last movie where we have Stark. He's kind of stranded in space. Him and Nebula were the only two that survived the battle. The ship that they're in is Nebula's, the one that she flew onto the planet and ran into Thanos with. And for whatever given reason, they had not enough fuel, I guess, would be my guess, because they flew out of there, but then they were stranded in space. They couldn't move. They were running out of food and air, and they were looking at their demise as inevitable. And as I thought, since the beginning of all this, when we saw that last year, that Captain Marvel was going to be the one to find them in space, and she did, which was a really cool scene. I love being right, but it was like cool because like she finds them, she brings them to Earth. They have this big reunite with the Avengers that are still there, which is just a small handful, which is really cool. And then we bring Captain and Stark having their little bantering at the beginning with the whole team when they were deciding what to do next. Now that everything is kind of settled down, it's been 23 days since the incident. Stark has been found, and they were still trying to figure out a way to try to reverse all this. And they knew that if they got the stones, which we all knew beforehand, if they just got the gauntlet, they could reverse all this, which is what their plan was originally. And then Captain America and all them decided they were going to take him on, but not before Stark kind of bantered with Captain America like he always does. If you notice in every movie, Stark always insults Captain. Like, you're the pure one, you're the golden child, you're the Boy Scout. He does this because I feel like Stark feels like he was always compared to Captain America because his dad always loved Captain America, and he always told us in every movie, you know, my dad loves you, blah blah blah. Even when he tried to get him to sign the Accords, like he wouldn't do it, and he got mad at him because he's like always the optimist, always the one, and so I felt like he wanted to bring Captain America down a couple pegs to his level because he felt somehow guilty for everything he's ever done, and Cap never feels guilty. And so even when we see Cap nearly budge that hammer, remember back in one of the last Avenger movies, it was kind of cool to see that because it kind of even scared Stark, I think that this guy's the real deal. So he always compared himself to Captain America, and I felt like he was yelling at him because they weren't the team they were supposed to be in the last movie, and they were separate. We do know that was Stark's fault because he decided to go to the other planet by himself with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange instead of just reuniting as a team and defeat Thanos together. So, but in classic Stark fashion, it's everyone else's fault because he has enough guilt of his own. So, but Captain America takes it on the chin, lets him yell at him, and just says, we still got to go after Thanos. And that's what's great about it is in the first half hour of this movie, you see all the clips you see in the previous. Like everything is done in the first half hour. So the whole movie was really well hidden from us. If the secrets, they did a great job about making it like something new and fresh for us to see. But most of the movie was going to be awesome beyond what we saw in the credits. So you're not just seeing the credits and that's pretty much the whole movie, which I hate about a lot of movies. So they go to where Thanos is and they take him down, only to find out the stones are destroyed. Thanos destroyed the stone, which is the perfect thing for a villain to do if he wants to make sure that his plan stays in place. So we get to see them take out Thanos for the first time, which is really awesome. So we already know after this one he's going to die twice, which is the greatest thing about it. He's the same villain die twice in the same movie, which is great. But it kind of puts a whole rift into the team because now Thor feels guilty for not killing him the first time. Everyone else doesn't know what to do with it. They can't bring him back. They're all their friends back. And it feels like even though they succeeded in taking him out, it was a defeat all over again. And they go back to Earth, and then we go years into the future. Like, because they couldn't figure out how to reverse what happened. And they were just beside themselves because they did everything they could, and Thanos still won. And then we get to see what we all knew was going to happen, Ant-Man returning from the quantum realm. And ironically enough, it's a rat that activates the machine that lets him out, which is so cool. And he finds himself in this storage room locked up because that's where all of his stuff was when they thought he and everyone else had vanished, which is really cool. So it's just by mere happenstance, just mere like coincidence that he's even released. We have to wonder, did Strange see all this? Because it's 1 in a million chance that he gets released from the quantum realm without his own doing. And then he goes and hunts down the Avengers after he gets reunited with his daughter, who actually is the one who still survives, which is awesome. Um, Everyone thought he was dead, which is so cool when he meets up with Captain America and Black Widow at the Avengers Plaza, or the Avengers compound, and they thought he was dead. So that scene you saw in the movie, that was one of the last scenes that you would see in the credits that you actually saw in the movie before it goes into all new stuff. Um, though I do love how you got to see like Black Widow running the Avengers from the hub, and then like Star-Lord, no, Rocket and Gamora, Nebula out doing their thing, and you got see little clips of of Wakanda and what's going on there, and trying to keep the planet safe. And then with Captain Marvel and War Machine hunting down Barton. So that was really cool. I loved how we get to see little glimpses of what's been going on the last 5 years, and it's kind of been like this dark, sporadic world and chaos. We just don't know where this is going to lead. And then Ant-Man shows up, talking about the quantum realm and how it's all different in the quantum realm, how time doesn't work the same, and we're talking about time travel, which we all thought was going to happen, which was so awesome. They got into time travel through the quantum realm, and you're like, well, how do we maintain this? And of course, obviously, the two biggest brains of the world in our universe are still alive. So who do you think they go to first? Stark. Now Stark finally got to have the life he wanted after all this went down. Got to have his wife, and he actually ended up having a girl who we hope later becomes like the new Iron Woman, like in the comic book. Not certain how this is going to roll out, but it's still kind of cool to think about and speculate. He was still designing his toys because that's who he is. So he designed a outfit for his wife, which is awesome. But when they went to visit him, obviously he has more at stake now, and now he realizes what everyone else was fighting for. And because of that, he decides to take a bow out, which is very strange for him because he wants to not lose what he has. But it took him till everything else was destroyed before he realized that, which, again, he's still in that transition stage at this point. So if he won't help them, who do you go to? You go to Hulk, which it was really weird when I saw the Hulk. Like, they've gotten really good at the CGI. It's amazing. His skin was grayer, and he was like a combination of the two. Now, it was really weird for me because I felt like his bantering with his little fans and stuff, it just seemed like almost fake in a way because he's not Hulk, but he's not Banner. But then again, that works because he's not Hulk or Banner. He's both at the same time. And those of you who are real big comic book nerds, there was a character or a visage like him in the comic book form back 20 some odd years ago called Mr. Fix, if I can say that. And he was the grayer Hulk. He wasn't as big as the big mean greenie. He also wasn't as strong, but he was way smarter. So he had some pluses and minuses, but he was pretty awesome to be as smart as Banner and strong as Hulk in his basic form, which is really cool. So you get to see Mr. Fix-It in this. They don't really call him Mr. Fix-It, which I thought was sad, but we know that's what they're kind of linking it to. And this way it's better for our universe because things Hulk does later, even after he's not Mr. Fix-It anymore, was back to the old Hulk, which is chaotic. That's why they threw him off the planet in the first place when they did the Civil War, which we saw years ago. So that's how that all links. But nonetheless, he tries to help them reproduce the time travel portion of the quantum realm that Ant-Man experienced. And in doing so, they kind of had a really fun scene with these like different ages and stuff, which is really, really funny. You'll love that part. You probably did if you've seen it, obviously. And then Stark finally decides, maybe if I just look at it, there's no harm in looking at it. He does a little experiment and realizes it's possible, and that leads up to another conundrum. Do I become the Stark that I've always been, or do I maintain this cycle that I'm going, this almost illusion of who I am now, because it's not, because he was still making suits and stuff because he couldn't give that part of himself up. And we love his wife because she makes him realize that's who he is. He's always going to be that way, and if he doesn't go to his full completion, he will not feel like he can rest, which is great. So obviously he rejoins them at the compound, helps them deal out the issues of the quantum realm and being able to time travel. And that's when we get into the flow of action all the way to the end, which just seems to flow really, really quickly. Like, it just never seems to be like, it's not like 3 hours long. Like, it's going that long. So they set up the outfits. They get this team together, which is just a half team of the Avengers, kind of like what you see right here. Let's see, he was there. Spider-Man wasn't there yet. He was there. 2 of these are missing. Yeah, 2 of these are gone, but the rest of them pretty much there, except for Falcon, of course. But the point is, and Drax, he's not there either. But the point is they able to figure out where the stones were, because that's really the goal. They figure out where the stones are, because if we're going to go in the past, we have to go get the stones before they're used for the gauntlet. I love the bantering with all the time travel movies and stuff. That was really awesome because I always felt that way when I saw Back to the Future and all them. So I love that. But they did break the rules. We'll go on in a minute. The point is is they found a way to get to the stones and quickly, but they always had that little bit of turmoil, a little bit of a catch where they only have so much pin particles to be able to make it there and back, which is scary enough, right? So I love that later on when they figure out they can actually go find more pin particles because they were on Earth, which is awesome because, of course, Henry Pym made them in their secret lab in the Garden State um, Army base, which was really cool. Anywho, so that being said, they all went their separate ways. I knew they would figure out that in New York there was 3 different stones at one time, which was really cool, which is how we can bring a lot of our characters back. In each one of these scenarios where the different groups go to different time frames, they actually get to run in to people who are big important influences in their life or people who have gone missing, which makes all the interconnections between the timelines and the people and the storyline. It just makes it amazing, especially when we get to see the Great One, which I knew because I heard that she was on the set back when they were filming the movie, so I knew she was going to be in it, and I love the way they brought her back in it. And to see her see Hulk and knew who he was, and then take him out so quickly, and then knew what they were up to, and was talking about Strange, and she knew about him already. It's like, this is so freaking cool, because this is like everything we like in our sci-fi, fantasy, comic book kind of storyline. It's really freaking cool. And then the fact that he could later convince her that it was Strange that gave it up. We knew that he said there was 14 million scenarios where it didn't work, but the one that did, and then she realized either I made a decision that was bad in putting him in place, but I knew he was the one to be, he was to beat. He was the one that was going to be the greatest of us all. So if I can trust who I picked and who I am, then I have to trust that the Hulk is saying the right thing, that this is what is necessary. So she gives it, that was the easiest gem to get, really. And technically, it was only the second gem they got. They did get the one from the staff, which Captain America got, which was awesome. So we got to see a little bit of a deja vu scene where he's in the elevator with the exact same people he was going to beat up in the previous movie, which was awesome. But he played them because they were all members of um, Hydra. So all I had to do was say, "Hail Hydra," and just walked out there with the scepter. That is epic. That was so good. Got a great reaction from the crowd. Loved it. And then even more so when he actually met himself in the past, and it was Captain versus Captain. I always thought, why do superheroes fight each other? Why do superheroes ever do? I always thought, how do comic books do this? But when their agendas are different, or when they're from different realms, that's what makes this perfect. I mean, they didn't know they were captain. The other one thought he was Loki, so it was just awesome that it worked out that way because Loki, you find out in this movie, if you haven't ever seen it, escaped. That is so cool. Classic Loki. So he escapes. They think he's Loki. They fight for the scepter. Our captain obviously has to win because he's our captain, and he's more experienced, which is the key thing. Being around longer, he's more experienced, so he did take out the younger captain, which is good. But I do love how like the Iron Man of our time frame and Ant-Man were trying to take on try to get the Tesseract away from the other Iron Man and Thor, who were being bombarded by the state secretary and other officials and stuff trying to get, because they, again, you know how they got that originally in the first place and end up in the hands of evil. And so this is kind of how we got to see now how it transitioned into that in later movies by these little middle clips that we never got to see. And it was cool how they were able to cause an arrhythmia. And then I loved how you see Ant-Man push the suitcase because we don't realize when he's small, he still has human strength. So he actually pushes the suitcase and it's like the suitcase moves by itself. Stark picks it up and then Hulk, who could go down the stairs, slams the door. Tesseract gets dislodged and then Loki sees it. He's the only one watching all this going on. He sees something going on because he's that smart, picks it up and disappears. Which brings me to another quandrum we can talk about in the comments below because I want to know your thoughts about Loki in the movie disappearing with a Tesseract. We know he didn't acquire it there. That would just break the space-time continuum. So is Loki alive again now that he changed things? That is my big question to you because they did break some rules in this as far as space-time continuum, even though they still bantered about it earlier in the movie. That being said, they had to find another way to get the Tesseract, which is like I was saying before, because they were limited on pin particles. Stark and Captain devised a plan to go back into the past where all those elements are in the same spot at the same time, just like in New York with the 3 stones. So they went back to the past, 1970s. We get to see the last sad cameo of our hero Stan Lee. One of the best cameos, though. It is really an awesome cameo. Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, go check that out. But it's really awesome to see him start up the 70s clip. Stark meets his dad, which we knew was going to happen. Captain America runs into his love, but tries to, always hides from her because he doesn't want her to know, because obviously that would hurt too much because he's already disappeared. And so they go down, they find the pin particles. We get to see a young Michael Douglas, even younger than the previous one where they made him young, which is crazy to make me even younger. He looks like the 80s Michael Douglas that I grew up with in the 80s when I was watching his movies like Romancing the Stone. Remember that movie? Awesome movie. Michael Douglas is pretty cool. He looks really young and it's like an 80s Michael Douglas. So we get to see the original Ant-Man helmet, which was awesome. You see that little clip in there, a little Easter egg they put in there? The original Ant-Man helmet, the very first, before all these new technology came in. And we get to see him developing the Pym particle. And Captain America instills some of that for us for the future so they can get it back, get this Tesseract back. And it was so simple. Like Stark was able just to grab the Tesseract and go. Because, that's Stark for you. But he meets his dad, and this is where the turning point happens. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when he was talking to his dad and bantering back and forth about being a parent, because he had just become a parent 5 years earlier, his dad, he's found out he's just being told his wife is about due. So they're talking about what it meant to be a father, and we find out that all along that Howard Stark loved his son, was proud of his son, and wanted to do anything for him. Like he would do anything for him. We get to find the truth about how he feels about his son. And so Stark realizes that Captain America may have been his hero, but his love and everything went to his son. Like he loved his son more than anything in the world. And it finally dawned on Stark that all of his jealousy, all of his anger, the way his dad treated him, his upbringing, and also the guilt of his dad dying the way he did, and the angry words that he left with him at the end were all for nothing. His dad loved him dearly and put him as top in his world. And he also said something very intricate and very strategic as far as the writing in this is in the elevator. He says, I've never done anything without selfish intent. His father basically admitted that everything he's ever done was for his own benefit. And it dawned on Iron Man, even to this very point, every time Iron Man's done something that outwardly looked like it was selfless, deep in his mind, he's like, well, I'm going to get some good stock ratings out of this. He always had a larceny kind of idea behind it. That's who he is. And he realized, to be the hero that my dad idolized, I have to let it all go and realize that it's not about me, it's about everyone else. It's about the team, kind of like our Captain America. And he realizes that now, which is really awesome because that was the turning point for Iron Man, which is the reason why I think Strange had to do what he did, because he saw that develop the way it did, and it had to happen that way, just exactly as it did. So when they get the stones, we finally come to Black Widow and Hawkeye, which is it's one of the sad, actually, we're back on the world with Star-Lord, which was a funny scene. We got to see the same clip scene where he's dancing, but we get to see without the music, which is funny for us, hilarious. So War Machine and Nebula were supposed to grab that stone from him, and they were very successful in doing that, but that's when we found out that Nebula in both the 2014 versions of her could interconnectedly communicate with each other through distorted synapses in their brain. Like the circuitry in their brain was interconnected because they could sense each other, and it's how we get Thanos into the mix, because otherwise we wouldn't have any war with him. We already killed him in the future. So Thanos is now finding out about this whole plan, which is what gives us our turmoil, gives us our excitement in our movie, and he's now trying to track down the future Nebula to try to stop them from what they're doing, because he can see what they're doing. He even gets to see himself get killed in like memory form in the future, which is really amazing. We get to see him killed like 3 times at this point. So at any rate, so now he's hunting them down because he wants to make sure they don't succeed in their mission. And they do finally catch Nebula before she can transition out of there into the future by activating her Pym particle. This way they're able to track down the other Avengers and hopefully stop them from undoing everything that Thanos did in the future. So that being said, they capture her, but we get War Machine who gets away, and then we get into where the other pair that came into the same year as them, 2014, take a rocket ship and fly to the planet of the Soul Stone, and we get to see Red Skull again. Love Red Skull. It's the 3rd time we get to see him. I wish they could do more with him. I'm sad that he's stranded on this planet. I mean, they make his life so short in our realm, because in Marvel's, reality, he was his main villain for like decades. So it's just weird to see him just like stranded there trying to, teach people about the Soul Stone, which is just weird. But it's still cool because we got our 2, sidekicky kind of assassins who, again, the sidekicks go, they're cool, but at the same time, sidekicks tend to get in the way and get themselves killed because they're not as powerful. But the fight between them was amazing. The bantering between them was amazing. I mean, how many times did they have to revolve the little technical battle scene, if you want to call it battle scene, between the two of them to see who was going to fall. I mean, how many times did you think it was going to be Black Widow or it was going to be the Hawkeye? Because they kept going back and forth talking about who should die for that stone, because they figured it out after talking to the Red Skull that someone has to die. So I wasn't surprised to see Black Widow die because Hawkeye has his family, he has that happy ending, and this is the way that Black Widow, kind of like with Iron Man, with their guilt of their past, can find retribution because her whole life surrounded the Avengers after they took her in, which was amazing. So, but it's so sad not seeing the end battle, and really sad. But they have had several Black Widows in the comic books, so I'm sure they'll just bring on a new person who calls himself Black Widow now with similar abilities. It's not really hard to do when you're not dealing with superpowers. It's just kind of one of the things they do all the time in the comic books. So when we get back, we realize that a couple people are missing, especially Black Widow, which really sparks their desire to make sure this works out. It's got to work out. It's got to fix itself. And so they spend the rest of their time designing this gauntlet, which and perfecting it, and gets us into the battle scene, which is the finale of this movie, which again moves so quickly. If you don't pay attention to all these little intricate things, you're gonna miss a lot of Easter eggs. So you gotta take time to just like really study it, because I've seen it 4 times, and so I find stuff new every time. And it's just really cool how like they built this gauntlet like really quickly because they had to. They knew that there was a chance that someone can come up and stop them. You always had it in the back of your mind. So I loved how I did the barn door protocol, which was awesome because like how many times do heroes do something stupid and screw it up and then they have to start over again? That was great. I'm like, at least you did something smart, Stock. You covered your spaces so you couldn't get anyone to stop you, which was awesome. I love the banter between Thor and Hulk and all them about how who's going to do it. And Hulk's analogy was entirely right with the gamma radiation. He should be the one. He's the strongest. He could survive it more than anyone, so that was cool. I love the way they did that. Um, and I love the way, when they brought everyone back, the phone call from Laura, that was very touching. I almost wept there. I like it how right at that moment Thanos came in and destroyed everything. So it's like just chaos all over again. And then he's just sitting there waiting for Nebula to go grab the stones, which is his Nebula, we find at this point, because the other one's still trapped up in his ship. And then that leads us into one of the best battle scenes of all time with the 3 main characters. We got Thor, we got Captain, we got Iron Man going against Thanos. And Thanos gives a run for the money. This battle is epic. I mean, everything they do. I mean, Iron Man was pretty strong in the beginning of this. Thor took a lot of great hits. I mean, he in the double weapon going on, the axe and the hammer, so amazing. And we also find out that my hero can pick up the hammer. We knew all along he could. The double weapon battle between him and Thanos is epic. It's amazing. If you worry about the electrical discharge, I think that's just because it still had it in the hammer because it's embodied with it because Thor's had it for so long. It's not that Cap could wield lightning. It was just embodied in the hammer. He can't do it on his own, whereas Thor can. So don't worry about that, guys. I know that was confusing, I'm sure. And then we go into the battle where everyone shows up at the same time with um, Doctor Strange. And to not get too in depth in the battle, because just go over the highlights. Like, I love the banter between all the characters. I love how when they all re-meet, Iron Man is finally speechless when he meets Spider-Man. I love how Gamora doesn't recognize, because she's the old 2014 Gamora doesn't recognize Star-Lord. And they go right back to the beginning of like where they were at the beginning, where she kicks him in the balls. That was funny. How Iron Man and his woman like fight together. How the the Wasp comes back in, and the Ant-Man, they work together to get the other time machine working because the one was destroyed when the ship came through it because the Nebula helped them get over there to attack the Avengers. Um, and I like how all the different characters just kind of worked interlocking with each other. I mean, the battles are epic, scenes are epic. You gotta love it when they realize they're losing and they're trying to just do whatever they can, like all villains do, just kill my people, kill everyone, just take them all out because I don't want to lose. And then the gun's positioned to the sky, and you know what's going on there. I mean, Captain Marvel comes in, she saves the day by taking the ship out, and then the fight between Captain Marvel and Thanos was epic. I mean, short as it was, I felt like they didn't do enough for her in this movie. They panned her up to be this great hero, and she was very little bit in this movie. That was kind of sad. But what little bit she was very powerful. What with the ship, the banter with the feminist feel to it, with all the women coming in and battling together. That was awesome. Got a great reaction to theater, how they worked as a team to try to get the gauntlet over to the time machine. I loved how he still destroyed the time machine, still made it like, oh, still 1 second away. We're still fighting for that last piece of whatever you would call it. I mean, like, to be on top of the mound, like, and then like he almost got it, and she stops him at the last second, and I like how he takes the stone out and just like pummels her, and then she's gone, and like it was just a wild ride the whole time. It was crazy. Uh, just so that, as we all know, at the very end, Stark, whatever was up his sleeve, magic, because it was all based on his technology, anyways. He's able to slip the stones off his gauntlet because he already had one on his hand, and then all things. So, how did you feel about our hero dying? I mean, let's be honest. In the real world, it probably would have been Captain who would give up his life. That's who Captain is. He would have done it in a heartbeat. But because of those transitions throughout the last 9 years of Captain Iron Man's life with his family and then meeting his dad and realizing the truth, it was quintessential that he would be the one to sacrifice, to finally own up to everything that we've made him out to be for the past 11 years. And in the cinematic universe, this is perfect because he was the first one that started the whole Avengers, even though he wasn't the one in the comic book, but in the cinematic universe, in the MCU, he was the first and he was the last. He finished it. Perfect ending. Because why should Captain America die when he's not done anything to deserve it up to this point? Let's be honest. And two, why should we be like the comic? Because he should have died in Civil War, and he didn't. He didn't die in Infinity War 30 years ago, so let's just make it different. Let's make it all totally different, because it's a different universe. We can do that. And so it was perfect. And the sentiment between Spider-Man and him and his wife, I mean, it was amazing, and it makes you want to cry, and it was just crazy. Um, and then, of course, at the very end, when we see Captain America go back, take the stones back, because we were told we had to do that to keep the timelines where they need to be. Yeah, I think he took the hammer back, because we saw him take the hammer. He didn't come back with it, so I'm assuming he took that back, which goes into another quandary of mine. But nonetheless, and to see him have his life returned to him, go back and have that dance that we talked about in the very first movie of Captain America. Oh, that made me so sad because I love him. I didn't want to lose Chris Evans as Captain America, but it was perfect for the setup. It was perfect for the next Captain America, and it was just the perfect ending to his career. It was really awesome, as sad as it was. But to go back on the little tidbits that I saw, and you have to like give me your responses. I want to know how you feel about this, because when we talk about space-time continuum and with the time travel, I mean, they even broke some of the rules, but every movie does this. I've seen it in every movie, but this is actually one of the better ones, where they really focus on how it actually would appear and how it would work. Like taking the stones back, that was perfect. I believe took the hammer back, that was good too. So that, because if you took artifacts, even things not just the stones out of the past, how did Thor defeat people without his hammer? Not saying he didn't need it, but he needed to transition to a point where he felt like he didn't need it, which didn't happen until Ragnarok, as we all know. So if we take the ether off Asgard, do the Dark Elves find them? Because that's what they were tracking, to find them, to take it out of her. And Rocket already taken it out of her, which was the coolest thing ever. That whole thing on Asgard, which we didn't talk about yet, because I saved it for this point. And that's because Rocket's amazing on it. His whole bantering with Thor was awesome. Slapping him like that, it was great. I loved it, the whole thing. But he stole the ether from her, which is the whole reason they were there. Would that make the father, who is Odin obviously, tell Thor to take her back and she would not be on the planet? Would he broker a deal with the Dark Elves saying, she's not here? Like, why would, the ether's gone. Do you even sense it? And then there would not be no battle. So theoretically, his mom could still be alive, but I guarantee you the MCU that Marvel and Disney are not even going to touch that. But that's still feasible. Look at, like, with Loki taking the Tesseract in a time and place he would never have had it, and disappearing, which altered everything for his existence. And two, we know for a fact that Gamora is not dead, which breaks their whole rule. That says you can't change the past, because the past, because your present is now your past, and now the past is your present or your future. Well, that makes sense, but at the same time, if you drag all of Thanos' army from 2014, including Thanos and Gamora, up to 2019, a year after she would have died, and kill all of them, they would not make it 2018 to kill her, so she would still be alive. That's the part I think is crazy. Which means Thor's mom could be alive, because how they track him, and Loki could, I hope, could be alive. Let's just hope. So what are you guys' thoughts? Because we know there's going to be another Guardians movie. We know that he's tracking Gamora. I love Thor's comment at the end, as Guardians of the Galaxy, their whole bantering with who should be the leader. That's one of the best parts. Um, We know that the next movie is technically still the end of the third wave with the Spider-Man movie coming out this summer. I will do a movie review on that. Obviously, we'll be having our Spider Bears with us. We're going to go to movies. Hopefully, they do some new characters. I'm excited for that. So we got to join us with that. But what are your thoughts? I mean, where should they go with the next wave, the fourth wave? They got movies planned on 2025. I'm thinking Galactus. A lot of fans on the interwebs are telling me it's Galactus. I would love to see that because who is more powerful than Thanos? Who could they top Thanos with that would take a grander team? Now that we've lost a couple of our characters and hopefully got some good replacements coming up. I don't know. I would love to see Galactus. That'd be awesome. And then they could also integrate. Not saying they would, but this is a very good possibility because it surrounded a whole nother Marvel team who are also, believe it or not, Avengers in reserve. I would love to see them revamp the Fantastic Four and bring them in the NCU and join them to defeat Galactus with Silver Surfer. That'd be amazing. What are your thoughts, guys? Thank you for joining us. I know it was a really long video. Any things you guys see that were wrong or iffy? I like to hide things, just so you know. So again, comments. What do you like about the video? What do you want to talk about? What are your opinions on it? Did I get something wrong? Let me know, and we can banter about it because I love talking about my heroes, and it's so much fun. And Thanos here, you don't care for our politics. So fine, dude, whatever. He's so adorable, isn't he? I'm so excited to have all the team back later on today. But you guys can come check it. So, and like I said, in future videos, we might have little hidden ones like these guys, of course. There. Go pick up your mom later on. I love Goose, and she's awesome. You guys are amazing. Love you guys. Thanks for joining. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you later. Bye.